Ankh and Ma'at. Welcome to Kemetic Ascension for November 21st, 2021. My name is Jabari Osaze, also known as Heru Jedin Ma'at Ra, and I am the co-chief priest of the Shrine of Ma'at. It is wonderful to have you back with us again as we come near the close of the secular year 2021. It is always wonderful to have you with us. Let me just say welcome to you. I'm so honored that you've chosen to spend part of your Sunday with us. We know that these gatherings are of critical importance for our community to come together, for our community to truly acknowledge that we are able to hear the ancient echo of our foreparents. Let me go ahead and do what we always do at the beginning of Kemetic Ascension. I always ask you to tell us where in the world you are and how long you've been partaking in, how long you've been an important part of Kemetic Ascension. So I'm hoping that you are going to give us an amazing Kemetic shout out so we know how far, how wide our voices are being distributed. I'm really hoping that you are able to let us know where you are. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I know that we have really been going through a lot as a community, as an African descended community in the United States and around the world. I think that these gatherings are so important so that we're able to come together in the most challenging of times. So I'm hoping that you feel the same way. So Anika, is it possible that we have some responses?
Oh, definitely.
I have some up here as well,
So
right?
Gianna Spring is in the house.
Wonderful.
We have Trent Gaines.
Gianna Springs
where you're from. Sinette Cheryl, representing the DMV.
Wonderful. We know that Sinette Cheryl is always with us. She's a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at. It's wonderful that you're here with us.
Now, I'm sorry if I mispronounce his name, but Loel de Horace Makea is in the house. We have Kemetic Ma'at in West Virginia.
Wonderful.
We have one of our regulars, Tracy Virgo Venom, out in Indianapolis.
Wonderful. Almost a full year, she says, huh?
Yeah, Trent.
Wonderful.
Trent Gaines says he's out in ATL, Dunwoody, ATL. Gianna says that she's out in Lake Worth, Florida.
Wonderful. Been with us for about 6 months. Incredible. Wonderful.
Kamal Shakur out in Houston, Texas.
And that name is familiar, so I know that you have been with us before.
Rich Stubbins and Rich.
Yes. It's amazing to hear from you once again. More than 2 years. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. The inspired one is from Dallas, and he says, "What up, frat?"
06, brother. 06.
We have Valerie Howard out in Columbus, Ohio. C.M. Cooper from Durham, North Carolina. Let's see. Noble Lloyd Lithcott out in Brooklyn.
Out in the BK. Uh-oh. Where Nika always gives her big up from.
Yeah,
big up to.
You have a friend out there, KCD Sunshine in Brooklyn.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Heru Asar Ankh Amun Ra in Dallas. So we have a couple of Dallas people here today. Jehuti Ma'at Ra, send Jehuti out in Canada.
Ankh and Ma'at to you, one of the full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. Jehuti Ma'at Ra. Hopefully everything is going well where you are.
Here's Imhotep Heru out in your neck of the woods, your hometown, Queens. Andre Bryant, hey, out in South Jersey.
How you doing, brother? It's good to see you on Kemetic Ascension.
Bakari Hannah out in Tampa, Florida.
Wonderful.
Oh, Makai is out in France. So that's the furthest so far.
Oh, France. Yeah. Wonderful.
Caleb Bryson out in Greensboro, North Carolina. So we have some North Carolina people. Michelle Mitchell in Richmond, VA.
Wonderful.
Nebetra Anna Hetep, good to see you again. Columbus, Ohio. Nubian Kemetic Spectrum, how you doing?
Now, Nubian Kemetic Spectrum, that's not Sinette B, is it? Nubian Kemetic Spectrum, why do I feel like we know you, but that name throws us off? Tell us who you are.
Donna Jones, North Carolina. Shayla Coleman out in Carbondale, Illinois. So she's a newbie. Welcome.
Wonderful. Welcome, welcome.
Jeffrey Soares out in Sweden.
Sweden. Wow. Ankan Ma'at.
Sen Garrick is here.
Sen Garrick, one of our full members. It's good to see you, dear brother.
We have Rico Sadiq out in Los Angeles.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, Nubian Kemetic Spectrum says it's Sister Yolanda Pleasant from ATL. Oh no, she's saying she's transcended. Oh, I'm sorry.
Her sister.
Her sister.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I thought you were saying that was her name.
I'm so sorry about that. And we are asking for her successful journey on the boat of Ra. We know that these times can be so difficult, and we're asking for your family to have solace. We're asking for your family to have peace. And we know that the Neteru and the ancestors will protect her on her journey.
Let's see. Sinette B is here, but she's in a ready set.
Oh, yeah. See, that one I recognize.
North
See?
Carolina. Yeah.
By way of Harlem. That's
Lion
right.
High from Columbus, Ohio.
Wonderful.
And there's this lady from Connecticut that seems to keep logging in. Our boots are shot out in Connecticut. How you doing?
She's talking about the whole Zulu nation. What is she talking about?
No.
What is she talking about?
Oh, and Gianna Spring says that she's originally from Crown Heights. That remembers the song.
Yes.
See, that's where I'm born and raised, Crown Heights.
Yeah. Both of us were born in Crown Heights.
But you weren't raised in
No, I was not. No, I was not.
Imposter.
My family moved to Queens.
Lou Rob from Chicago. How you doing? Been
Wonderful.
With us for 3 years.
Wonderful.
Jay from Worcester, Massachusetts.
Ankan Ma'at.
We have Jason Holmes, another regular from Lincoln,
Yes.
Nebraska.
Jason Holmes is also in our class on African American history. Good to see you on a Sunday, dear brother.
Tehuti Ma'at Ross Sirius, which is Wichita, Kansas.
Wonderful.
And Nubian Kemetic Spectrum is in Chicago now, but from Bloomington, Illinois.
From Chicago, but in Bloomington, Illinois.
Yes. And then we have Umeme J from St. Louis.
Yes, wonderful.
Ankama to our Abu Zephaniah, or Tehuti.
Yes, Ankan Ma'at to you, Ankan Ma'at.
And Zephi.
We'll see you in priesthood training in a little bit as well.
Let's see. Mit S from Mohammed, Illinois. Anna Rodriguez is in the house. And Anna, how are you?
Ankan Ma'at, a member of the Hemsenu, and with us from the beginning.
Rhonda Brown traveled with us this summer. How you doing?
Ankan Ma'at.
Joe Berry from Columbus, Ohio.
Wonderful.
Sinette Dimitra from Douglasville, GA.
Another full member. Wonderful. Good to see you there.
Representing the BK.
Ankan Ma'at. So Sandra has been with us and is taking classes.
Jason said he's originally from St. Louis, Illinois. A lot of Illinois people in the house.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. That's how it is. It seems like sometimes we just get clusters of people in certain places, and that's always wonderful. I should say to you that we are really thinking about how the Shrine Ma'at is going to grow intentionally. So it's possible that there are a number of people, a cluster of people, an eddy in the pool. We might actually decide to put one there. The first place we're planning to do that in is Phoenix, Arizona.
You have someone from your family's hometown, GT.
That's a whole country. I don't know if it's a hometown.
Well, okay, and he might not be from GT.
My homeland. Yes. My homeland. Ankan Ma'at to you, Bill Rogers. What part of Guyana are you in?
Then your brother from Pimpanzi, Oganini.
Yes.
In North Philly.
Yep. I'm going to be in. Oh, you're going to be in New York today. Wow. Okay. Good to hear from you.
Abu Ka, rep in Philly.
Abu Ka. Go ahead, Abu Ka.
Oh, so he is GT.
Georgetown. Yes, that's where my mother is from, Georgetown. And hopefully my family's going to be traveling there in the next year or so. That looks like everyone for now.
Yeah.
Right? Anka ma'at to you all. It is amazing that you've joined us for Kemetic Ascension. We are so honored that you've come to join us. We know so well that you are coming because you hear the call of an ancient African foreparent. You know that our ancestors have come forward powerfully and have perhaps shown the most powerful iteration of their spiritual traditions, their cultural traditions in that land that we know as Kemet, that has been misnomered ancient Egypt. We are so excited that you've joined us, and we're really excited to be able to continue to bring you Kemetic Ascension. I want to say the first Kemetic Ascension was on a December day, I think. It was either November or December. So that truly means that in many ways, we're coming to another anniversary of Kemetic Ascension. I have no idea which one. Is it 6 or 7? I don't know. But please, please be welcome. We truly believe that these gatherings are important. So I'm so happy that you're here. And we see other folks coming in, right?
Mm-hmm. We have a question about Kwanzaa.
You know, it's been a long time since we've done a Kwanzaa gathering. Myself and two of the brothers I grew up with used to do these large Kwanzaa gatherings, and we've been talking about doing them again. We probably would not do it during the pandemic, though, to be very honest. We probably wait for things to improve a bit before we do that. We really wish that we were able to, because Kwanzaa is important to us personally as well. And I see Sanette Cheryl doing exactly what I would ask you to do. We want to be able to reach those individuals that are in your network that you know should be here as well. Please go ahead and like this video and share it. Share the video. Share it on your Facebook page. Send the link out wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, please make sure that we are able to reach a larger number of people. That is of critical importance. Dwa, dwa, dwa to you all. So at this point, what do we usually do? We usually begin with that ceremony that marks our shrine of origin, that ceremony that was brought forth in power and peace by our shrine elder and the founder and keeper of the shrine of Ptah, the shrine elder of the shrine of Ma'at, Baba Heru Ankra Samad Se Ptah. I know that he said he's probably going to be stopping by virtually a bit today. So when he does, please make sure you give him some onks and myrrh. The ceremony is called the opening of the way, the opening of the way. And we're truly expecting that you will join us for the opening. Please don't think that this is theater. By now, so many of you should know how to do the opening as well. So remember, you're going to stand in the pose of adoration. You're going to have your left foot forward, and you're going to expose your palms in front of you. Because as you expose your palms, you can notice that you feel energy when you do that. You're going to put the left hand a bit further forward and perhaps a bit higher up. Now, remember, don't do this. Don't do this. We've never seen our ancestors, when they do this pose, have their wrists so harshly turned, right? If you're going to bend them just slightly. Okay, that's how the position looks. Your left hand is forward, your left foot is forward, your right hand is back, and perhaps a bit lower than your left hand. This is the pose of adoration, the pose in which our ancestors reminded us that we must give and receive divine energy. We're hoping that you'll do this along with us as we begin the ceremony known as the opening of the way. So, I want you to begin by taking a deep breath and breathe into your abdomen, okay? Breathe into your abdomen. Don't keep your breath up here. We want you to breathe deep. And then you're going to release it and chant the word of everlasting divine life. Ankh. Let us begin. Om.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet. Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Turn to the right.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Kebsenu.
Anetrak Kebsenu.
Nuke Kebsenu.
Nuke Kebsenu.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Turn again.
Anetrak Ast.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwamutef.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu. Shu. Shu. Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Twal Winter. Anetrak Paut in Teru. Nuke Paut in Teru. Anetrak and Boo in Teru. Nuke and Boo in Teru. Twal Winter. Take your breath and once more chant the sound of life. Dwa Winter. Dwa, dwa, dwa. Dwa to you. I'm hoping that you joined us in the opening of the way. It is important that you recognize that this is not theater. This ceremony is a ceremony that has been constructed to remind you of just the stuff you're made of how powerful you are, how eternal you are. You are, in fact, a vessel imbued with all divine energy, which gives you all of the rights and responsibilities of the divine. And we truly hope that as you do the opening of the way, you will awaken that thing in you that is you, that you will once again reconnect with your divinity. So much of the world that we exist in can seem like sort of a cacophony of discordant sounds, of blinding visual, sensory items. I truly believe that as you feel the world as we can feel it through the five senses, it can really seem overwhelming and confusing. But in actuality, there is another sense. In actuality, you are able to recognize that all of these things are in fact one, that all of these things are you as well. And so you can have dominion and control over it. If you recognize that you are the cardinal points, if you recognize that you are in many ways immortal, omnipresence, and omnipotent, what you are able to do is you are able to actually be above all of those things that are besetting you, above all those things that are challenging you. And so that's why we say to do the opening of the way. That's why we say to take in that divine breath of life and to release it so that you absolutely are able to feel that all of the universe is yours. Once you are able to feel that, nothing can stop you. And so we hope that you are doing the opening of the way with us during Kemetic Ascension. And we also hope that you're doing the opening of the way before you do anything of importance. And certainly your day, each day that you awaken is a day that is important. So please do the opening of the way at the very least at the beginning of your day. And it will remind you of exactly the nature that you actually are. And so I'm pleased to be able to do it with you. And I really hope that you are going to continue to do it as well. All right. So from here, usually what we do is we go into Hesi. We go into chanting. We go into invoking the divine nature of ourselves through harmony, through song. And I'm told that Anika wanted to play another song from that wonderful family, the Chafers, out in Ghana, who are practitioners of Kemetic spirituality, and also folks who have been attending, have been part of Kemetic Ascension, and have gotten lots of inspiration from it. You will hear that their songs are amazing. Now, Anika, today you're supposed to be playing an original composition. Is that correct?
Yes, it's called Overflow.
We think it's beautiful, and we are so honored that they've asked us to in some ways allow their sound to be put out on these airwaves. We're very, very pleased that they've done that. So please let us listen to the Chafers and their song Overflow. I think that's beautiful. I just think that is so beautiful. I truly believe that it's a simple song. I think that it is just a song that you can just sway to and enjoy. I know when we listened to it, and I believe we played it for the priest, they even said, well, it has a gospel feel. And I think that to some degree, there are those of you who may feel that way, but let's be really clear. That concept of embracing divine sound in harmony, in song, in togetherness is not a Christian thing. The reason why African people sound so different when they worship is not because they're following a different Christianity. It's because there's a different way that Africans worship. We don't sound different because we're always doing something different. We sound different because we are different. We sound different because this is what we've always done. And we have those narratives of those chantresses that were so lauded in ancient Kemet. We have those narratives of individuals who opened the shrine in song in the beginning. We have those narratives of people singing hymns. When you read the Kemetic text, you're going to see that some of them are hymns, are songs. That the Kemetic people were known to sing songs. Songs that reminded them of the power of the Neteru. And so I'm really hoping that you recognize this fundamental feeling is not one that's Christian. This fundamental feeling is one that is African, and that our ancestors did that and recorded it first in that land known as Kemet. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that singing in a divine manner is originally Kemetic. I'm saying it is African. It likely long precedes that land that we know of Kemet. But the first time we wrote it down and described what we were doing was in Kemet, because we know that Kemet was the flower of ancient civilization, the flower of ancient African civilization. As the most influential nation, perhaps in all of human history, this is how we did, and so this is how we will do. And so I really hope that you enjoyed it. Let's see, I'm seeing a lot of people that are saying that they're enjoying it, right? Were you able to purchase the music? I'm hearing people are asking for an album. That is something that we will be talking to the Chafers about. And you should know that we're going to be, man, I already feel overwhelmed. We're going to be in Ghana and meet with them in person really soon. I mean, we're going to be in Ghana on December 7th. And so, well, I think we get to Ghana on December 8th, right? Right. So we're going to be traveling to the continent, and we'll be there really soon. In fact, you should know that when we get there into Ghana, we will be installed. Finally, we've been talking about our installment. It is poised to happen in this December. You're going to see video of it, of course. Perhaps we might try to even stream, depending on where it's held and the kind of signal we're able to get. But know that when we return, will likely have a different charge as well. We'll still always be the founders and the chief priests of the Shrine of Ma'at, adherents to Kemetic spirituality, but we'll also have responsibilities on the continent. Very clear responsibilities on the continent in that area, the Cape Coast area that we've been traveling to for so many years. So we'll also have other names too. I'll still be Jabari El-Saze, Heru Jedin Ma'at Aten Ra, but Anika, are we going to still use our given Ghanaian names?
We're probably going to use all of our names.
My Ghanaian name, the name I was given in the naming ceremony, is Kwame Eduafo, and so Kwame meaning I was born on Saturday. In Ghana, amongst the Akan people, you are named by the day that the Creator decided to put you on the physical plane. And so because I was born on Saturday, my name is Kwame, like Kwame Nkrumah, or like Kwame, the brother that used to do, I don't know if he was named that way because it's Saturday, the brother with the polka dots. Of course, Anika remembers the polka dots because Anika probably had every polka dot outfit she could possibly purchase. Now, some of y'all are too young to even know what we're talking about. Just look for Kwame rapper polka dots, and then all you can do is cut out with Photoshop Kwame's face and put Anika's face there, and you're going to know that that's what she was doing in the late 80s, early 90s. I wish you could see her right now because she's blushing, even though she's brown. You should see her face. So we're looking forward to all of that. And we have to say dwa, dwa, dwa to the Chafers once again for all of their amazing music. You can hear that it's professionally mastered. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. You're going to hear a lot more from them. And as the Shrine of Ma'at really begins to branch out into Ghana, we're certainly looking forward to them being a part of what we do there as well. Now, whenever I say that, Anika, we get messages from Ghana. Y'all in Ghana? Where you at? Where's the building? How can we go? When can I see you? Every single time. Ghana is ready, y'all. Ghana is ready. The thing that's not ready is us. Because what we have to do is put a building in Cape Coast, Ghana, so that the Shrine of Ma'at can mature there. And we also have to make sure that our priests, you know that there are 11 of us, 9 of those priests that we are actually almost coming to the end of their training. They are actually going to have to come back and forth and cultivate all of the different parts of the Shrine of Ma'at. That's the reason why we say to you that we don't do this for money, but we need money to do it. That's the reason why so much of our resources goes we're kind of holding it in abeyance, as we could say, because we know we need to be able to have structures, buildings that represent what we're trying to do. And so we're excited about that, definitely.
Speaking of our priests, let's just send a little bit Merv Seneb to
I was just about to say
Abu
that.
Waziri.
Yes. Can we say that we know, and I'm not even sure if we're supposed to announce this publicly, but I think that we'll take a bit of personal prerogative, as he is one of our priests, one of the members of our family, and his wife is also initiated in the Shrine of Ma'at. I want to just go ahead and say, please, do we need volunteers? I just saw that as I looked down. You know we need volunteers. Daria Ware, tell us where you are. We absolutely need volunteers. We need as much help as we can get to be able to do this. But as I was saying, I really need to say to you that we are concerned and we are really enraptured in prayer for the healing of one of our members of the Wenwet, one of our priests, also known as the minister of the African village here in New York City, and also one of the priests of the Shrine of Ma'at. I'm talking about none other than Abu Waziri, Abu Vernon Wells. He was hospitalized yesterday, not feeling very well. And I don't think that there's a need at this point for major concern, but concern nonetheless. We spoke to Sanette Tara, his wife, yesterday. She didn't sound like she believed that he was in dire straits, but of course, whenever one is hospitalized, we should be concerned. So we're asking you to send divine energy his way as he tries to be on the path of healing. We really, truly are hoping that what you're able to do is assist him in being whole again by absolutely thinking about his healing, asking the divine, asking the ancestors to send him Seneb, to send him divine healing so that he can return to us whole. We know, ancestors in Neteru, that our dear brother Vernon Wells, our dear brother Abu Waziri, is important for the Shrine of Ma'at, important for the African village of New York City, important in our community. He is a selfless brother who gives and gives and gives and gives. And we know that sometimes when people give of themselves so freely, they can run themselves down. We're asking you, Neteru, to give him strength in this moment of need. We're asking you, Neteru, to give him healing in his moment of need. We're asking you once more, Neteru, to give his family solace, to give his family comfort, to allow them to think properly in this moment. You know, our words can be created into reality, right? They can be manifested, right? When we worry about our family members, sometimes that energy is not the energy that they require in order to heal. We're asking you, Neteru, to assist them in channeling divine healing energies, surrounding him with the light of Ra, allowing Sekhmet to come to bring him the fire of healing, allowing Imhotep to visit him and to speak words of healing into his ear, asking for Ast, the divine mother of all the words of healing, to visit him and to make him whole. And so we know that the family of the Shrine of Ma'at is thinking about him, and we really hope that he'll be back with us in full stead really soon.
We also have to send out myrrh to our initiate Shenka for the loss of the mother.
Yes, we just heard that that Sinet Shenka, also known as Sinet Olivia, who is usually on with us, is probably not on because her mother made her transition. And let me go ahead and say that we are asking you, ancestors, again, to allow her to have a central place on the boat of Ra, and to allow those who are there to part the waters with oars to do so successfully. We're asking for the waters to be still. We're asking for the journey to be made short. We're asking for the journey to be made successfully. We're asking for you, ancestors, along with the Neteru, to prepare her place alongside Asar, alongside As, alongside Nbethet. We know that her soul is absolutely judged to be worthy. And we are asking you also for her family to be able to communicate with her so she can tell them that she has successfully reached the other side. We're asking for the family to actually feel all of those warm divine energies that can come when we're thinking favorably about our ancestor, and that they're not absolutely struggling in sadness and sorrow for losing a matriarch. And so we say once more to the ancestors and to Neteru, Twanter, Twanter, Twalwinter. There's a lot for us to think about today, right? There's so much for us to think about. I mean, there's just so much going on that is challenging. And I know that we are really, really thinking about those people as we do our work today. Normally, we would see Vernon on for priesthood training this afternoon as well. And we know that he had better not get on priesthood training. He might actually try. We're hoping that he is going to be feeling like he's in great shape really soon, and he'll be released from the hospital soon as well. So with all of that, family, we're asking for you to send your divine healing energies to those members of our community as well. And I also see the Chafers are on. Can we say Uncle Jocelyn to you as well? We just played one of your Hesi. We think that they are magnificent, and we can't wait to do more work with you. We're looking forward to seeing you when we get to Ghana in early December. And this is the end of November, so you know that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
People are going to start asking me if I've started packing. They continually do that. Did you start packing? I'm not going to pack till the night before usually. Please, I'm hoping that we'll be able to work together and do some amazing things together as we move forward. So with that, I'd like to move in to, as I'm thinking, there's just so much going on in my mind right now. I'd like to move into what we call the word from the Sebayit. And you know that during the word from the Sebayit, what we do is we truly focus on how the wisdom of our African ancestors assists us in living today. Not simply thinking about history as something that we should be amazed by, but inspired by, but also thinking of the history of great divine and incisive thought as a source of guidance. And that is what we're doing when we think about what we call the word from the Sebayit during Kemetic Ascension. And of course, as we are in that week, Anika and I were traveling yesterday and we ran into traffic. You should know that New York City has what they call gridlock days. I want to say that yesterday or Friday was the first gridlock day because people are beginning to travel around for the holiday that's coming up. And I wanted to talk briefly about the Kemetic wisdom of thankfulness and the history of Thanksgiving. Now, I know that this has a shorter title because Anika was beating me up, telling me that title is far too long. I think we ended up calling it Gratitude and the Troubling History of Thanksgiving, or something to that effect, right? I really want us to think about this holiday, think about this day, and come to a better understanding of how we should spend it. take a look at this image here on the screen. You're seeing this family, this wonderful African American family. You know, this is sort of the scene of the mother, the father, the grandchildren, the grandparents, and they're all sitting to a table and having a meal and enjoying themselves. And you know that they're eating turkey. This is how we see Thanksgiving. This is how we see Thanksgiving. And I know that my family, throughout my upbringing, has always gathered to eat a wonderful meal during this time. But it was when I became a teenager that I began to find out more about the history of Thanksgiving. And so I want to start with sort of describing some of the history to you. You might have heard me talk about this before. I talked about some of this on Tuesday Talk very recently. I want you to think about what the holiday means. I want you to think about how we should view our actions, our behaviors during this next week. Part of this, we must acknowledge, is nothing more than Western, nothing more than Tomhu, nothing more than the propaganda of white folks who are trying to celebrate themselves for their goodness. That is what part of this is. Take a look at this painting here. It is entitled The First Thanksgiving, 1621. And it actually is supposed to commemorate an event that actually occurred. It's a historical event in 1621 when those Westerners came to the United States and struggled mightily to figure out how they were going to survive being in an unusual place. You should know that it is the native people that came to their rescue. And so this painting by Jean-Leon Jerome Ferris from 1899 is supposed to commemorate this day. And look at how wonderful it is. We see the native women and the Tomhu women talking in the background. We see a soldier, not with his hand on his sword, but with what looks to be some sort of jug, probably of some sort of ale. We see them just talking and enjoying each other. And in fact, if you look at the place where the native people are, you would almost think that these Europeans are saying, thank you. We are giving you the bounty from our table because we love you. Isn't that how this image looks? Isn't this how this image looks?
It's the truth.
The reality is that this is a piece of propaganda. Let's be clear. There was actually a dinner in which the native people were actually invited to eat with the Europeans. And I think that in many ways, this event is important. But if this was the only snapshot we had of the relationship between the native people and the Europeans, then obviously someone is leaving out the larger part, the more damaging part, the more the despicable part of the story, are they not? Let's talk about what happened. As I said to you, this celebration is actually something that occurred. It took place in 1621 at the Plymouth Plantation. Remember that these individuals had landed at a place that they like to call Plymouth Rock. So this took place at the Plymouth Plantation in Massachusetts. And you should know that one of the major characters was a native man by the name of Tisquantum. Now, some of you are probably saying, I thought his name was Squanto in school. It seems that at least when the Europeans spoke of him, they did call him Squanto. And I don't know why he had two different names, but I do know that it seems that the more proper name is Tisquantum. And he was a Pauxet native, and was part of the Wampanoag Confederation. So I want you to be clear that the Wampanoag Confederation is a larger grouping of groups of native people. And he was part of one of those people that was part of the Wampanoag Confederation, known as the Pauxet. And he was the one that taught these Europeans who had come there how to catch eel and grow corn. And so as they were, as the story is told, struggling with finding food, struggling with the inclement weather at the time. They were struggling mightily, and it was Tisquantum that helped them. You should understand that Tisquantum has a really curious history, let's call it, because 6 years earlier, he was captured and enslaved by another European, a man named Thomas Hunt. And this was how he learned English. He learned English because he was captured and enslaved by Europeans. That's part of the story that we don't often hear. And in fact, he was part of approximately 24 natives that were captured, and all of the other ones perished during their very brutal treatment by the European people. And so he's the only one left. He was actually also taken by French soldiers, and those French soldiers brought disease to his home. So the rest of his people that were not enslaved actually contracted diseases that the Europeans brought to them, and they died. All of them, every single last one. By the time Tisquantum is able to get back to his home, he realizes that they all were gone. Can you imagine what that must have felt like? Can you imagine what that must have felt like? And now this new group of Europeans that we generally call the Pilgrims, were now settling on this land where his family once lived. And so this is why Tisquantum becomes so important and so central to this story. He understands the terrain, he understands how to grow, he understands how to catch animals in order to provide meals, and he also speaks English. So this is the reason why he is so helpful to them. And he goes to the Wampanoag Confederation leader, a man by the name of Massasoit. Actually, it's Massasoit. Let me make sure I say it correctly. Massasoit. And I want you to understand that Massasoit, right off the bat, didn't trust Tisquantum. He had thought that he had spent too much time with the Europeans, and he didn't know why he was speaking on their behalf. But he does grant these Europeans some provisions because their supplies ran out, and it is Tisquantum that helps them do that. So this is the backdrop to that celebration that occurs in 1921. And you should know that it was not a celebration that was just one evening. And it was not quite dinner. It lasted for 3 days. And it had, we believe now, about 50 of these European people and about 90 of the native people. And by the way, they likely did not eat turkey. They certainly, we believe, ate eel. And so that's part of the story as well. Now, let's be very clear that the story of the Native American people and these Westerners is not a pretty one. It just isn't. And that's the reason why when we look at the story of this Thanksgiving, the propaganda of these Europeans giving graciously back to the natives who had helped them, we really don't understand what the full nature of the relationship between the Europeans and the natives were. Millions of native people were massacred over generations. Millions. And we know that the Europeans that came were not above poisoning water so that they could actually kill entire villages, entire groups of native people. And you probably have heard this before. They were known to use biological weapons. Smallpox is one of them. Listen to this letter by William Trent that is usually entitled The Siege of Fort Pitt, 1763. He says, out of our regard to them, we gave them 2 blankets and a handkerchief out of the smallpox hospital. I hope it will have the desired effect. you'd better understand that this was not by mistake. They intentionally weaponized viruses. They were trying to kill them. And going further, recognize that when their land was stolen from them, they were forced to relocate from the southwestern United States to west of the Mississippi River on what is usually called the Trail of Tears. And that literally 4,000 Native people, men, women, and children died. Even today, Native Americans have the highest unemployment of all people. And I think one of the reasons why we don't recognize these statistics is because there's so few of them left. And we don't usually have access or dialogue with people who are Native American. Native American groups today have the highest suicide rate of any group. So I want you to recognize that the relationship between these Europeans and the natives has never been one that has been pleasant. And that essentially they were destroyed, they were annihilated by their contact with the Europeans. And so for us to be able to look at this and think that this is a dinner of thanks, this is a time for us to give thanks. This is European, this is Western, this is white supremacist propaganda. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at. You should know, if you look at these paintings, these were painted by Europeans to depict what happened to Native people. You can see them killing lots of people in the painting on the top. And the one on the bottom was actually one of the etchings that comes from the writings of Bartolomé de las Casas, a friar who actually journeyed to the New World, journeyed, I believe, to Cuba primarily with Christopher Columbus. And he describes how the Spaniards absolutely were known to find pregnant Native American women, to slice open their bellies to take out the crying baby. And then they would feed those babies to their dogs while they hung the woman. That they had this sport where they used to see who was strong enough and who had a sharp enough sword to try to cut a man or a woman in half with one blow. These are the kinds of things that they did. And when they forced them to work, it was routinely normal for them to cut off limbs, to cut off noses, and to just murder in rampant abandon. This is the story. And it don't include no balloons. It don't include no turkeys. It don't include nobody wearing no shoes with buckles. The reality is the Europeans massacred a group of people, and let's not forget, enslaved our ancestors. That is the true history of Thanksgiving. That is the true history of this holiday that becomes the first secular holiday of the United States. In fact, I think you might find it interesting that the first person that tries to create a national day of Thanksgiving is George Washington, the general, the first president of the United States, and the enslaver. He's the person that tries it first. But it does not become a federal holiday until Abraham Lincoln. Yes, that Abraham Lincoln. And in many ways, he was thinking about the wholesale death that he had seen as this country was fighting, half of it at least, fighting to keep enslavement, while the other half was begrudgingly being brought along by Africans and others who were fighting to end it. That's the reality. That there are two central presidents that are important to the creation of this holiday: George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. And so it is in 1863 that the fourth Thursday of November becomes the day that we know as Thanksgiving. And of course, we know what that looks like, a gigantic parade, a Macy's Day Parade, where children are absolutely able to see large balloons of their favorite characters and parades of marching bands and celebrities. And at the end, who do we see? We see old Saint Nick, this fat, this corpulent Tom Who on a sleigh. That's who we get to see at the end. This is all propaganda. And I want to say that we ought not be captive to it. There's a reason why holidays occur. There's a reason why nations, governments try to pull on the heartstrings of people. These can be very damaging in the psyche of a people. Now, when Jabari Osaze was a young revolutionary, I'm telling you, I was really rough. Some of you may have heard this story. I remember when my family was having our extended relatives over for Thanksgiving. I already told my family I didn't want to be part of it, but they were ignoring me, of course, because this was the day that they had off. And they were going to eat and enjoy family. But of course, I was so revolutionary and reactionary that I did not want them to. So what did I do? As soon as my cousins came over, as soon as the door opened, I ran upstairs when no one was watching. I painted my face red, and I brought out a diorama, a model of an enslavement ship, complete with little Tomhu enslavers and enslaved Africans being killed on the ship. And as soon as my father put the turkey down, I dropped it on the table next to the turkey. And I said, this is what you're celebrating. The massacre, the murder of Native American men, women, and children, and the enslavement of your ancestors. What is so wrong with you that you want to smile on this day? Why it should be a day of mourning. And my parents, knowing that there was no way to talk to me at this point. I remember my father saying, go upstairs, just go upstairs. We'll bring you food, just go upstairs. No, I'm not fighting you, just go upstairs. Now, let me say this to you. Please, don't beat up your family on Thanksgiving. My family has nothing to do with the annihilation of the Native Americans, and they certainly have nothing to do with our enslavement. Don't spend time beating up people who love you. What you might try to do is spend this time to educate people about what actually happened. That's what you should do. I truly believe that we need to move past these propagandist holidays. But this is not going to happen overnight. We need to do the work. We need to, one, ensure that people understand what they're really celebrating, what the origins of the holiday actually are. And third, we also have to give them something else. Don't just take away those things that your family have. Remember, this is a day they have off, and you know they've been working hard all year, slaving in this land that they were stolen and forced to be in. Don't beat them up. What is the use of that? In my more mature stage, I recognize that whenever my family gathers, I'm there because I want to be able to influence my nieces and my nephew. I want to be able to speak with my mother. I want to be able to be with my family. This has been a really rough year. My sister has been struggling with a very advanced form of breast cancer. My father passed away. This is a tough time. This is not a time for me to go and beat them up, but it should be a time that I share information. You know that whenever I gather with my family, I go as Africanized out as I possibly can. If you see me wearing African clothing and you see me on those days, I got everything on. I got a crown on. I have a huge cloak on. I got a staff with me. I'm going to be a visual, verbal, auditory, historical reminder of our African greatness on that day. I'm going to try to slowly move our family and the families in our community away from this. This is part of what we knew we need to do. The Native Americans in that area actually called Thanksgiving a national day of mourning. Look at the plaque that they have here. Since 1970, Native Americans have gathered at noon on Coles Hill in Plymouth to commemorate a national day of mourning on the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. Many Native Americans do not celebrate the arrival of the Pilgrims and other European settlers. To them, Thanksgiving Day is a reminder of the genocide of millions of their people, the theft of their lands, and the relentless assault on their culture. Participants in National Day of Mourning honor Native ancestors and the struggles of Native peoples to survive today. It is a day of remembrance and spiritual connection, as well as a protest of the racism and oppression which Native Americans continue to experience. Erected by the town of Plymouth on behalf of the United American Indians of New England. That is a powerful plaque that really helps people remember exactly what they're dealing with. And take a look at that. This is one of the t-shirts that you'll often see Natives wear on this day. Genocide, poverty, hunger. No thanks, no giving. And the bars, the stripes of the flag of the United States are over the mouths of a Native person. And the question they ask is, what are you celebrating? Give thanks every day. Now, I want to say that these celebrations are not unusual to our ancient African people. In many ways, this is a harvest celebration. And you should know that even Kwanzaa itself is a harvest celebration. That Africans often give thanks for those things they receive, that they recognize that it is through being absolutely connected to the divine, that it is through being a good citizen, it is through being recognizing the fundamental energies of the universe and being a good steward of them. This allows them to receive. Take a look at this. You'll always see in Kemet images of individuals who are giving homage and praise and thanks to the Neteru, to the divine, as you see in this top panel from the tomb of Senedjem and Neferti. And then you see them reaping the benefits. Can you see that this is about giving thanks? That this is about asking for things of the divine? That this is about remembering your ancestors? Look at the top. Did you notice that they're not only giving thanks to the Neteru, but in the end, they're also paying homage to the divine spirit of their ancestors? You see the person that's Sahufied there? And through doing that, you see that they go to the altar to give thanks and praise. Look at the image all the way in the second level panel on the right. This person is in sacred homage, and there's an altar in front of them. That's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing. And so as you look at this, you're absolutely looking about the fact that our ancestors are giving praise and homage to our people. And you're seeing this occurs in Aaru. This occurs in the afterlife, that if you actually do and give thanks and give praise and make offerings, that you will receive the bounty that is yours, the sacred bounty that is yours. Take a look at them happily plowing here. This is in the afterlife. They're plowing in the afterlife. You can see that Neferti is actually putting down the seeds, and her husband is using the plow. So our ancestors continually remember that we must give thanks, that there are those times that the bounty, the divine bounty, seems to be stifled. Take a look at this image of individuals who are actually in a famine. This comes from the one of the tombs right near in that area around quote unquote Saqqara. I believe it's from the time of the king Unas. And you can see that some people are struggling, that their bones are showing because of this famine. And so they continually give homage. There's also this device, which is known as the famine stele, and it was carved on one of the Nubian islands. I'm talking about Kemetic Nubia, and it describes how the people in that area had dealt with the famine, and that the king Djoser Neteriket sends his second in command, sends the high priest Imhotep to find why the famine occurs. And he realizes that what they should do is set aside certain land to be holy, not to be plowed, and to pay homage to the wonderful Neteru that or from that area, so that the Hapi would continue to allow them to receive their bounty. Understand this concept of giving and being thankful is something that is truly focused in Kemetic spirituality, because they lived in the desert. And the only way they were able to survive is if they lived in harmony with that wonderful river known as the Hapi, today misnomer the Nile. That they had to actually continue to find themselves in divine balance, in Ma'at, in order to live in the region. This is what we see. Our Kemetic ancestors understand paying homage, being divinely balanced, and actually giving thanks more than perhaps others, because without being in divine balance, without being in divine harmony, they would starve. So let me ask this. We don't live in the desert today. I know I don't, right? When I need something to eat, I can go right to the store. In fact, I don't even have to go to the store. I could use an app and the food will come to me. So you might say, well, what are the lessons that we should take from the Kemetic understanding of giving gratitude for that which we receive, making offering, remembering our ancestors? What should we remember from this? And I want us to get to the point where we live in radical gratitude, where we are able to give thanks for those things that we receive. I remember when I was a young person, I had lots of access to and interaction with people who were in the Rastafarian tradition. They would always just say, give thanks all the time. Because in African traditions, we are constantly in a place where we are giving thanks. Let's not forget that as we spend so much time in the middle of Western societies and perhaps being confused by the celebration of their holidays. I want to ask you, why is it we struggle to live in a place of everlasting gratitude? I think there are 9 reasons. Listen to these. 1, we feel entitled. In other words, we think we deserve what we get. We feel entitled or we feel unentitled. They're both sides of an imbalanced coin. On one hand, we think that we're supposed to get what we're supposed to get. Why don't I get what I want? Or we say, you know what, I don't deserve anything. That's one of the fundamental things that we need to deal with within ourselves. Look at these 9 things and say, is this me? Number 2, we don't realize what we've actually received. One of the reasons why it might feel that we're living in a perpetual state of want, a perpetual state of deficiency, is because we might not be thinking about all that the Neteru and the ancestors have provided us. And if we could actually give thanks for those things, we'd be in a better place to make offerings for the other things that we need and desire. Does that make sense? And in fact, an offering is a sacrifice. A sacrifice is saying, I have gotten so much and I want to give back. And so we must first recognize what we've actually received. Number 3, we don't properly celebrate our friends, family, and allies. I hear sometimes people say, you know what, there's no one that supports me. I heard a sister say that recently, a young lady that I used to actually be the Jegna for. She said, no one supports me. And I said, well, where are you? Oh, I'm in my dad's house. Okay, so you're living in your dad's house with no rent, but no one supports you. I hope he didn't hear you say that. We have to properly celebrate those things that the people who care about us, who love us, are giving us. And give thanks, as Rastaman would say. Give thanks. Number 4, we don't often recognize that the challenges along the way prepare us for our victory. Your failures are not failures, they are challenges. Those things that seem that continue to mean that you're not getting the things that you deserve or need are often things that are simply preparing you for what you deserve and you need. And if we looked at the world this way, perhaps we would see them as hurdles that we can surmount rather than walls that are unbreakable. And so I'm hoping that we recognize that this is something we must do. Is this you? Number 5, we don't understand that we must give in order to receive. Isn't this the fundamental principle of Kemetic spirituality? That you must give in order to receive. When we stand in the position of adoration, that is in fact what we are doing. It is as fundamental as the Kemetic tradition is. We must give in order to receive. Number 6, we haven't focused on how fortunate we really are. We haven't actually thought about our position and how much we've actually gotten to be in that position. And when we don't focus on where we really are, what ends up happening is we are not able to be grateful. And we cannot live in the position of gratitude. Number 7, we become so pessimistic. Look, this last period of time, these last 2 years have been really hard. Folks have struggled to work. We have not been able to spend time with our family in the manners that we would like. We can't even spend time in our spiritual houses, our houses of worship, the way that we used to. This has been hard. And let's not even overlook the number of people in our communities who have become ancestors. We have lost so many of our elders during this time. This is difficult, but we ought not become pessimistic. Number 8, we don't really recognize our power. If you recognize how much you can do, who you actually are, who are you not to be grateful? Because you can receive all that you need when you choose. Who are you not to be grateful for that which you receive? And then finally, we aren't stopping to focus on the journey. Sometimes what we need to do is just remember where we've come from in order to recognize where we are and where we must go. So hopefully you will remember these 9 barriers and do a moral and a personal inventory to see whether these 9 barriers have affected you. Because if they have affected you, this might be why it's so difficult for you to be grateful for what you receive. And now finally, let's go to the wisdom. I want you to look at some of the wisdom that you might actually draw on as we attempt to be grateful, as we attempt to do gratitude the way that our ancestors did it, rather than through this negative, genocidal propaganda that we're going to be fed over the next week. Maxim 9 of the Maxims of Ptahhotep says, if you work hard and if growth takes place as it should in the fields, it is because the nectar has placed abundance in your hands. In other words, you're going to work hard if you understand this relationship. And when you work hard, you're going to actually receive abundance. But then don't be confused that it is your work alone that has given you the abundance. That is in fact the divine bounty that has given you abundance. And therefore you should be grateful. That's Maxim 9 of the world's oldest complete book, the Maxims of Ptahhotep. And I think that this is a really important way for us to understand and look at our gratefulness. Let's also understand that it seems that there might have been a time in Kemetic history where the working class people used to talk about the 5 gifts of Het Heru. Now, let me be really clear. I have not been able to find this on an ancient text, but there is at least one author who says that as he travels along modern Kemet, they say that this is something that they learned from the ancients. And they say that they always recognize the 5 gifts of Het Heru. Of course, they say Hathor because they're ensconced in the Greek terms. But I want to be clear that regardless of whether they're a little confused or not, this practice is one that is quite helpful. So this is a discussion of Het Heru that is on the stela of Ipui. The stela of Ipui, which is from the New Kingdom 18th dynasty. Listen to what it says. It says, giving praise to Het Heru, who lives in Waset. Kiss the earth for reverence to her in all forms. It was on the day that I saw her beauty. My mind was spending the day in celebration thereof, that I beheld the Lady of the Two Lands in a dream, and she placed joy in my heart. Then I was revitalized with her food. He who is wise will honor her at the seasonal festival. That which gives teaching to the people might be regarded to be pure food. Now listen to this. He's saying he's gotten so much. Het Heru came to him in a dream. So what did he do? He gave honor to her at the seasonal festival. This is gratitude. This is gratitude. I am saying thanks. Please don't let the lofty words prevent you from understanding the fundamental relationship between yourself and the divine. The divine balance is remembering that which you've been given. And if you don't remember that which you have been given, how can you receive the things that you need? This is from this ancient stele. He continues. Near the servant in the place of truth, Ipui, the justified, says, in order to solve the problems of rivalry, jealousy, and coveting her, the wonders of Het Heru, which she did in ancient times, should be related to the ones who do not know and the ones who do know. A generation should tell the next generation how beautiful she truly is. Are we not saying that we should remember those traditions of our ancestors, that we should discuss them with those of us that are here today on this plane that we love, so that those that come after will remember our ways? That is what this is saying. Please don't get confused by the lofty language. Read it and understand. Gratitude is of critical importance in the Kemetic, in the ancient African tradition. And this is what we should do. So, it is said that the poorer people of Kemet would take their left hand, put it in front of their face, and they would say, what 5 things would I miss if this was the last day of my life? What 5 things would I miss if this was the last day of my life? And as you answer that question, by the way, don't get confused by the word things. What things could be people. But what 5 things would I miss if this was the last day of my life? And when you do that, remember that these are things that you must be grateful for. This is what we're talking about here. We're talking about remembering that we must be in the place of gratitude in order to receive. And that as we think about all those things that we have received, then we must give, because giving is the prerequisite to receiving. This is important. And so I'm asking you today not to find yourself entirely confused by the traditions of the Tamhu, the traditions of the genocidaires, the traditions of those who annihilated one group of people and enslaved another, but to remember our ways. And as you remember our ways, make sure that those 9 barriers are not things that are preventing you from living a life of radical gratitude and of saying thanks every day. Dwa, 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 dwanter. Think of those 5 things that you would miss if this was the end, and give thanks for it. That's your homework, family. I want you to tell us what 5 things you would miss. By the way, go ahead and put it on your Facebook page, put it on your Instagram. Tell them that you are practicing the process of thinking about the 5 gifts of Het Heru. Share it. and share the link to this discussion so that those individuals who are trying to absolutely do those things that are proper for their families at this time can also find another way, another manner, another cultural behavior that befits them. That's what we should be doing today. Remember, don't beat up your family who only want to have a meal with you because they love you, because they support you. Rather, let's see what we can do to substitute our ancient traditions for those traditions that we have been forced into by those individuals, those powers, those entities that sought to subjugate and, in fact, even destroy us. Family, I'm hoping that you'll use these things so that we will be the powerful people that we were once more. I say to you, the divine force in me meets the divine force in you. When you get up into these 5 things, get up into your altar and give thanks. Twalu. With that, I'd like to ask Anika to come forward and assist us with our final affirmation.
Tua'u, that was wonderful. And I also wanted to say Tua'u and give thanks to those who gave donations to the shrine. So Tua'u to Sinette Tracy, to Brother Brian and Brother Anjay Bryant for your donations. We truly appreciate them.
We truly do.
And for those of you who would like to continue to offer donations to the shrine, we will be very grateful. You can send it either through Cash App to $@Shrine Ma'at, or you can send it via PayPal to ma'at@shrineofma'at.org. So we would really appreciate that. In any form that you choose to give, any amount that you choose to give, it's always helpful to help us continue to provide these services for you.
Yes.
We also want to announce again that we have our trip to Kemet and to Ghana. So if you are interested in traveling with us, believe me, it will be an amazing trip. You can do both, or you could just do one or the other. We will be traveling to Kemet from August 1st to the 10th in 2022. And then we will be in Ghana on August 10th to August 18th. So if you'd like to join us on either one of those trips or both, please visit our website, centerforma'at.com. And we have a full itinerary on there for you to see what we're going to do from day to day. Some of you will be able to come visit our house and see our house in Ghana if you do choose to travel with us. And if interested, you can also have a house in Ghana as well. And that's something that we would discuss during the trip. For those of you who just want to be able to see the monuments in ancient Kemet in all of its splendor, being able to see the Merkut, the Merkutu, or being able to see the Haramaket statue, being able to see all of the tombs and the temples, and learning firsthand what we talk about in Kemetic Ascension every 2 weeks, you would really love that trip, and we would be there to serve as your guides during that time. And we have our special guest from Chicago, the yoga master Yasir Rahotep, who will be with us as well doing yoga on the entire trip. And he will also be with us throughout the trip from Kemet to Ghana. So there's a lot to do. We will be on the cruise on the Nile for 4 days, what we call the Hapi River.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to see Ra kiss the sky every day. You get to see the beautiful waters of the Hapi. So we really encourage you to be there to participate. We'll be doing lectures. We'll be doing ceremonies. We'll be doing prayer, Hesi, all of the above. So we'd really love to have you there with us.
Imagine doing a sunrise ritual on the deck of a boat that is going down the Hapi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you recognize how grateful you should be to have this opportunity. I'm hoping that some of you will join us so we'll be able to do it together.
Yeah. And you'll get to meet some of the members of Shrine of Ma'at.
That's
so
right.
That's another great reason to be there. You'll be able to commune with everyone and get to see us in person.
And some of you have actually done this, so let them know how amazing it was last year. Yes. Okay.
So with that, I'd like to offer you one of the oldest prayers that you will find in the Reu and Pert and Heru and Ger, known as the coming forth from day to night. The chapters are coming forth from day to night. And it's called the Amasu. So please repeat after me in the language of our ancestors, the Untu, and then we will repeat it in English. Amasu and Pante.
Amasu and Pante.
Sauksu and Ra and Pante.
Sauksu and Ra and Pante.
Autu Aura.
Autu Aura.
Maketi Paherura.
Maketi Paherura.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you did it
just
today.
As you did it today.
Twa Winter.
Twa Winter.
Thank you to the divine.
Thank you to the divine.
And thank you to all of you.
To all of you. Shema Ma'at, go forth in balance. We will see you in 2 weeks. By the way, some of you have been asking about becoming a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at. The applications will be available the first week of December. They're coming out really soon. Please be prepared. Get the application, do the work, submit it, and you will receive an interview. I also see that Baba Heru is actually making him, he likes to sit in the cut and sometimes just listen and not say anything. But you see, he's just saying something. How much you want to bet he was here earlier? Baba Heru, we mentioned you and we asked everyone to give you unks and myrrh because you've given so much to us. We need to give to you. As we talk about gratitude, how do we not give gratitude to individuals who have given so much to us? And so I really hope that you will give some hopes and some unks and praise to Baba Heru, our elder, the person whose walk allows us to walk upright as well. And one of the ways you can give gratitude is to simply go and to his website, Sopatah, SOPTAH, sopatah.com, and go and receive some of his amazing work, because it's one of the ways that the elder is able to continue in prosperity. So please support our elder as he supported us. With that, I say to you, the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Shema'at, we will see you soon. Peace.